radio crackled through the storm. Mayday! Mayday! Navy SEAL Team Triton, requesting immediate extraction. Voiced through static. Desperation raw against the gale. Pinned down, taking heavy fire from all sides. Lieutenant Commander Alistair Davies pressed his back against shattered concrete. Blood traced a line from his brow. Around him, his SEAL team fought. The old Portside Docks on the Virginia coast had become their killing ground. The rain lashed down in horizontal sheets. Visibility dropped to mere yards. The storm, which had been forecast as a powerful Atlantic system, had exploded. It now ripped through the coast with hurricane-minus winds, turning their routine reconnaissance into a desperate fight. "Command, this is Triton Actual," Davies shouted into his radio. Concrete exploded near his head. He ducked. Enemy forces far larger than intel suggested. At least 3 sections with heavy weaponry. Petty Officer First Class Cole is hit. We need immediate extraction. Only static answered him. The storm had choked all communications. They were alone. "Sir," Lance Corporal George Miller shouted from behind an overturned forklift. "Our PG team setting up at your 2 o'clock. Davies spotted them. 3 men were preparing to launch a rocket-propelled grenade. The target, a rusted shipping container, where half his team had taken cover. Williams and Harrison were inside.
Is there any ammunition
Both
in here,
wounded.
Chief Vance?
No chance to move.
Not that concerns
If
you.
that RPG hit, it would be the end. A single shot cracked through the tempest. Davies flinched. He expected to feel the impact, or hear the container crumple. Instead, through his tactical binoculars, he saw the RPG operator
Windage, 3
collapse.
mils left.
A perfect hole
Confirmed.
through his forehead. Before the other team members could react, 2 more shots rang out in rapid succession. Both men dropped. "What in God's
Wind
name?"
correction, half mil left.
Davies whispered. Scanning the storm-minus darkened horizon. Another shot. Another enemy fighter fell. Then another. And another. "Oh, shooting?" Miller asked, his voice a mix of confusion and hope. Davies adjusted his NBGS. He tried to locate their mysterious savior.
Are you okay?
Nothing.
I think so.
Only rain and darkness. The silhouettes of
Promise me
abandoned factory
you'll watch
buildings
over them.
loomed like ancient monoliths against the raging
people.
sky. "I don't know," Davies replied. "But whoever it is, they are hitting targets at extreme range in hurricane conditions." He shook his head.
These should
"That's
help with the
impossible.
hurricane headaches.
No one
Understood,
shoots like
Commander.
that in this weather." Little did he know, the impossible had a name, Spectre. 3 hours earlier.
Any updates
Oh.
on SEAL Team Triton?
Chief Petty
Reed?
Officer Eleanor Vance wiped condensation from her supply room window. She watched the storm clouds gather over Naval Air Station Oceana, the quiet base near Virginia Beach. Virginia, at Torpedo. She moved with the quiet efficiency of someone who preferred to go unnoticed. Her dark hair was pulled back in a regulation bun. Her uniform, navy blue, was pristine despite the humid coastal air. To everyone on base, she was just another logistics specialist. The woman who processed 5.56 ammunition requests, maintained inventory spreadsheets. A shadow. Chief Petty Officer Vance. A voice
These
called from
are
the doorway.
precision
Any
instruments for precision
5.56 left. Range control needs another case. Eleanor turned to face Airman Basic Peter Finch. Fresh minus face. Nervous around her. 3rd shelf. 2nd bay. She replied. Her voice was even. It betrayed nothing of what lay beneath her calm exterior. Here, as Finch scribbled a signature, his eyes drifted to the corner of the supply room. A long black case sat, partially hidden behind stacked crates. "Is that what I think it is, Chief?" he asked. Curiosity briefly overcame his usual reticence. Eleanor's gaze followed his. The case held her Baratam 80 to A1, a 50- caliber sniper rifle,
So do I
capable of
miss
engaging targets beyond a mile.
We've
Just
identified
personal
a
kit.
possible hostile
Irma,
cell operating
you
near
shoot?
Portside Docks.
Finch asked, clearly surprised. A ghost of a smile
No rescue
touched
is
Eleanor's
possible until the
lips as she
hurricane eye
replied,
passes.
"Sometimes." What she didn't tell
You're
him,
initiating
what
full
she never told
evacuation
anyone anymore,
protocols. Move out.
was that 3 years ago she had been known by another name. In the elite circles of special operations, they called her Spectre, the deadliest sniper in the US Navy ILS. Confirmed kills at distances other marksmen considered impossible. After
No,
Finch
they're
left,
setting an
Eleanor
ambush.
locked the supply room door. She moved to the black case. Her fingers traced the latches. A ritual, performed
Sir,
daily.
We have
She
intelligence
rarely
of
opened
an
it
imminent
anymore.
ambush
The
threat
memories
to the
were
convoy.
too painful. She closed her eyes.
Captain, I'm worried about the
Flashbacks
storm.
came unbidden.
Your
Helmand
concerns are
Province,
noted, but stay in
3
your lane.
years earlier. The mountain ridge overlooked a valley. Intelligence identified a high minus value target. Command Master Chief Petty Officer Arthur Croft, a spotter and mentor, who lay beside her. He studied the terrain through high minus powered binoculars. Wind shifting, Croft warned. His voice was gruff, but warm. At 58, he was a legend from the First Gulf War. A warrior, he had trained an entire generation of snipers. 9 mph. 10 o'clock. Eleanor made the adjustment without comment. Croft had found her in initial training, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. He recognized her extraordinary talent, took her under his wing for 5 years. He had molded her into something exceptional. A weapon of unprecedented precision. Range to target, she asked.
Eleanor, what
Her
is
aim never
going
left
on
the
here?
scope. 2,019 yards. After replied, temperature dropping. Barometric pressure 29.87 and falling. She calculated the adjustments in her head, factored in Coriolis effect,
It's the most
spin
direct
drift,
path, but we need to
atmospheric
stay
density,
vigilant.
the science of making a bullet travel over a mile, still hit within an inch of its intended point.
I'll cover for her.
Thundered. Croft
Flying 4
whispered.
hours.
Eleanor exhaled slowly, while finger took up the trigger slack.
Thank you.
Between heartbeats, she squeezed. The barrett roared. Through her scope, she watched the target drop, exactly as calculated. Concerned,
security
Croft
code for the
said
East
with
Perimeter
quiet
Gate.
pride, "Another impossible shot made possible. That's
In
why they call
Basra,
you
I
Spectre."
was cornered,
Then
no
came
way
the
out, and then
explosion,
Croft
the whistling of
just
incoming
appeared,
mortars.
like a
The world
ghost,
turned
and he
upside
saved my
down.
life.
Their position was compromised. Croft pushed her down the ridge, shielded
Trust your
her with
training,
his
come
body.
back alive.
A second mortar hit,
That's an order.
his blood on her hands. His final words promised me, "Kid, you'll always watch over them. Our people." No matter what, Eleanor opened her eyes. The supply room came back into focus.
I'm coming, Cole.
She had
Hold
made
on.
that promise. Then, the investigation. Questions about their unauthorized position change. Accusations of recklessness. The official report blamed Croft for the mission failure. Tarnish his reputation posthumously. Her hand moved to her temple. She felt the scar hidden beneath her hairline. A physical reminder of that day. Traumatic
This is
brain
a close
injury.
call.
It had affected her balance for months. The military doctors had been clear her days as an operational sniper were over. They transferred her to logistics. Filed their reports. The legend of Spectre faded into whispers. A ghost. Eleanor unlocked a drawer in her desk. She removed a worn leather notebook. Croft had given it to her on her first day of training. Record everything he had told her. Wind patterns, temperature variations, every shot, every condition. Your memory will fail, but your notes never will. The book was nearly full now. Pages covered with precise handwriting, ballistic coefficients,
Sniper.
elevation
RPG.
adjustments,
I repeat, sniper and
environmental
RPG on
conditions.
rooftops.
He still added to it almost daily. You knew she maintained her skills in secret. Pre-dawn sessions, the abandoned range on the far side of the base. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Eleanor quickly returned the notebook to its drawer. "Come in," she called. Commander Drive. Thomas Reed entered. He closed the door behind him as the base's senior medical officer. Reed was one of the few who knew her story. He had treated her after Afghanistan, fought to keep her in service when others wanted to discharge her with a medical retirement. storm's getting worse, Reed said, glancing
Over
at the
2
window.
dozen targets.
They're evacuating the loam. Minus lying buildings. Hurricane warning just gone up. His eyes moved to the Barrett case. Headaches again. Eleanor nodded slightly. The TBI left her with chronic migraines. He still plagued her, especially when barometric pressure changed rapidly. They'll manage. Reed placed a small bottle of prescription medication on her desk. These should help. But take it easy. Eleanor, the weather service is saying this could hit for 11 by tonight. Thanks, she said, pocketing the pills. Any word from the team's downrange? Must be getting rough out there. Navy SEAL Team Triton is still conducting operations near the old Portside Docks. Reed replied. Command expects them back before the worst hits. He studied her face carefully. You knew someone on that team, didn't you? Eleanor's expression remained neutral, but Reed had known her long enough to see beyond the mask. Petty Officer First Class Cole, she finally admitted. David Cole. We served together before Afghanistan. It was Croft's previous student. Reed nodded, understanding the weight those words carry. I'm sure they'll be fine. Davies is a good lieutenant commander. As he turned to leave, Eleanor cut his arm. Thomas, she said quietly. Whoa.
Priorities confirmed.
She rarely
Scanning
used
for
his
threats.
first name. If they get into trouble out there, no one could reach them in this weather. Reed met her gaze. He read the
Patience,
unspoken message.
rhythm within
Let's hope it
chaos,
doesn't come to that.
letting the
Eleanor,
shot come to you.
after he left, Eleanor turned back to the window. The sky had darkened to an ominous charcoal gray. The storm intensified faster than predicted. She could feel it. Not just in her throbbing temple, in her gut. The same feeling she'd had in Afghanistan before everything went wrong. Something was right. The mess buzzed with pre-minus storm activity. Taylor secured equipment, discussed assignments, speculated about
Damn
the
it.
hurricane's
The ladder's
path.
gone.
Eleanor sat alone at a corner table, methodically eating, reviewing weather reports on her tab. 3 tables away, a group of Marines laughed loudly. A lot of them glanced her way. Boy, it's Chief Spreadsheet, he called out. Just loud enough for others to hear. Better secure those supply manifests. Would not want them getting wet. A few chuckles rippled through the room. Eleanor didn't look up. After 3 years, she had grown accustomed to the casual disregard. Most didn't know about her past. Her record had been partially classified after
This whole thing is
Afghanistan.
coming down.
To them, she was just another rear minus echelon support specialist. Leave her alone. Miller, another Marine muttered. She does her job. Yeah, counting bullets. Miller replied. Critical mission. Lena finished her meal. She stood, collected her tray. As she passed their table, Miller spoke again. What's with the case you always carry around? Chief, your knitting supplies. Eleanor paused. She turned slowly to face him. For just a moment, something flickered in her eyes. Something cold and focused. It made Miller's smile falter. Precision instruments, she said quietly. For precision work. She continued till the tray returned, aware of the sudden silence behind her. The moment passed, quickly forgotten by all but her. Eleanor had learned to embrace invisibility. In her current role, anonymity was armor. Outside, the wind had intensified, bending coastal lokes along the base's main road. Eleanor made her way to her small and minus base flat, a simple 1- bedroom structure, identical to dozens of others in the NCO quarters. Inside, away from prying eyes, she allowed herself to become someone else. The living room had been converted into a workspace. The ballistics charts covered one wall. Another held a disassembled rifle. Not the Barrett, a custom Remington 700.
I promise, Croft.
Modified with a match-minus grade barrel and trigger. On the dining table sat 3 different scopes in various stages of maintenance. Eleanor carefully locked the door. Through the blackout curtains, she opened the barrel case. The rifle lay nestled in custom-minus cut foam. a massive instrument of precision and power. She lifted it with practiced ease, the 30-pound weight familiar in her hands. This was the standard military issue I made it to A1. This was Croft's personal weapon, modified extensively throughout his career.
Clear above. Move up.
Given to her after his death. The scope alone was worth more than 3 months of her salary. The Schmidt-Bender PMII with custom turrets Croft had designed himself. The barrel was match-grade stainless steel, with a special fluting pattern. It reduced weight while maintaining rigidity. Even the stock had been customized, adjusted perfectly to Croft's frame, then readjusted for her after she became his protege. Eleanor began breaking it down with practiced efficiency, each component laid carefully on a microfiber cloth. The ritual of cleaning and maintaining the rifle was meditative. It allowed her mind to settle. As her hands worked, her thoughts drifted to Cole. David Cole. He had been Croft's student before her. Their styles couldn't have been more different. Where Eleanor calculated everything with mathematical precision, Cole relied on instinct and feel.
Our people,
Croft had valued both
no
approaches,
matter what.
often saying the perfect sniper would combine Eleanor's science with Cole's art. After Croft's death, Cole had been one of the few who defended her. He knew Croft would never have been reckless with a mission or position, but Cole was just one voice against a system that needed someone to blame. They had drifted apart after that. Paul joined us. SEAL Team Triton. Eleanor retreated into her new role in logistics. Occasionally, she heard stories of his operations. His reputation grew. Hers faded into obscurity. Eleanor reassembled the Barrett with fluid motions, each part fitting perfectly against the others. She lifted it to her
Stay
shoulder,
alert.
found her cheek welled in breathing rhythm instantly. The familiar weight centered her, grounded her in the present moment. A knock at the door broke her
over.
concentration. Quickly, she returned the rifle to its case and sealed it behind the couch. Coming, she
Objective
called.
secure. Awaiting extraction.
Checking no evidence of her real
Unknown
work
sniper
remained
support
visible.
saved us.
Reed stood on her doorstep. Rain dripped from his poncho. His expression was grim. We need to talk, he said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Something's happening with Triton. Eleanor closed the door. Her heart quickened. What's wrong?
Who's that?
The man lost contact about an hour ago. Reed explained. He lowered his voice, despite them being alarmed. Last transmission reported they were investigating unusual activity near
Stay
the
with
abandoned
me.
old Portside Docks. Then nothing. Could be just the storm interfering with communications. You don't think so? Well, you know if it is fair.
Command,
Intelligence
copy?
received some concerning intercepts yesterday. Potential
I
hostile
repeat,
cell
do you
operating
copy?
in that area. That's why Rayton was sent in. Routine recon. No risk. He ran a hand through his wet hair. But with this storm, if they're in trouble, no rescue is possible, Eleanor said, her mind already calculating time and distance. Not until the hurricane passes. Reed met her eyes directly. The latest forecast shows the eye passing directly over the base in about 5 hours. There will be a brief window of calm. Eleanor understood immediately what he was saying. The eye of the hurricane. It would provide a temporary reprieve, perhaps 30 minutes of relative calm, before the back wall hit with even greater fury. Thomas, why are you telling me this? She asked. She already knew the answer. Reed looked at the partially visible rifle case behind her couch. Because I know who you really
Hold your
are.
positions until this weather
Eleanor,
eye passes.
and I know what Croft meant to you. He paused. Cole is out there. Eleanor moved to her window. She watched the coastal lopes thrashing in the strengthening wind. Her decision was already made. It had been made 3 years ago. On a mountainside in Helmand, when she made a promise to a dying man. No one can go out in this. She said quietly. It would be suicide. Yes, we'd agreed. For anyone else, it would be. The operations center buzzed with activity. Base personnel tracked the hurricane's approach. Captain Robert Hardy, the base commander, stood at the central console, reviewing evacuation
Holding position.
procedures with his staff. All non-essential personnel should be relocated to the
Copy that,
hurricane
Spectre.
shelters by 1800 hours. Harding instructed. Essential personnel will maintain skeleton crews on for -hour rotations. Eleanor entered quietly. She carried a stack of requisition forms. In the organized chaos, no one paid attention to another logistics chief dropping off paperwork. She placed the forms in the appropriate tray, then lingered, eyes scanning the tactical displays. The largest screen showed the hurricane's progress. A massive spiral of clouds with a well minus defined eye moving steadily toward the coastline.
All right, stay
Smaller
with me.
displays showed
have limited
various base
supplies.
locations, including the status board for deployed teams. Navy SEAL Team Triton's indicator
One
blinked
person
yellow
in the right
communications
position
disrupted.
can
Danger
change
not confirmed.
everything.
Eleanor moved closer to an unattended terminal. She quickly accessed the latest intelligence reports. Years of handling classified ammunition requests had given her system permissions most logistics personnel lacked. She scanned rapidly through the documents, looking for information about the old Portside Docks area, where Triton was operating. A satellite image caught her attention, taken 12 hours earlier, before cloud cover obscured the region. She zoomed in, studied the patterns of movement around the
This is
shipyard.
bad.
Something wasn't right. The thermal signatures showed what appeared to be 3 separate groups converging on the area from different directions. Not random movements. Coordinated positioning.
Situation
An
report.
ambush
Warehouse
formation.
secured, no
Eleanor
hostiles
downloaded
sighted.
the image
Moving
to
to
her
Sector
secure
4.
tab, then continued scanning reports. An intercepted
It's the eye
radio
of the
transmission
hurricane.
fragment, deemed low priority by the initial analyst. It contained a phrase that made her blood run cold. English visitors expected. Prepare the welcome. Putting the pieces together, Eleanor realized Triton was conducting routine reconnaissance. They were walking into a trap, one that had been carefully planned. Now obscured by the perfect cover of a hurricane, she approached
too
Captain
quiet.
Harding, waiting respectfully for him to finish his current conversation. When he turned to her, his expression showed mild annoyance at the interruption. Chief Petty Officer Vance, he acknowledged, supply
Expect the
issues
back
can
wall of
wait
this
until
storm to
after
be
we're
worse.
secured for the storm. Sir, Eleanor began. I was reviewing the latest intelligence regarding Navy SEAL Team Triton's AO, and I believe they may be in danger. Harding's annoyance deepened. You are reviewing intelligence? That's well outside your purview. Chief, yes. So,
Patience,
but I
Eleanor.
identified a pattern in the
Patience.
satellite imagery that suggests an orchestrated ambush. 3 converging forces. Sir,
Where did that come
with
from?
pre-minus positioned heavy weaponry. And you're qualified to make this assessment. How exactly? Harding asked, his voice dripped with skepticism. Eleanor hesitated. Her full background remained classified. Harding had only been assigned to the base 9 months ago.
Extraction may only
He
be
knew her
possible
only as a
after the storm
logistics
fully
NCO.
passes.
Sir, I have some experience with tactical analysis from my previous assignment. She said, carefully, the pattern is consistent with known ambush tactics. Now, Harding
Move out
studied her face, clearly weighing whether to reprimand her for overstepping. I appreciate your concern,
that.
Chief. We have trained intelligence analysts for this work. Triton is an elite team, operating under the command of one of our most experienced officers. They can handle themselves. Sir, with the storm, that's enough. Chief. Harding cut her off. Focus on your assigned duties. Secure your supply areas. Prepare for hurricane protocols. Dismissed. Eleanor came to attention, saluted crisply, turned to leave. As she reached the door, Harding called after her. And, Chief, stay in your lane next
Get to the
time.
top, now!
Logistics personnel
Let's go!
shouldn't access
Move it!
tactical intelligence. I'll have your system permissions reviewed. Outside the operations center, Eleanor leaned against the wall. Frustration built inside her. The base was battening down for the hurricane. No rescue mission would be authorized,
deeper
not with the
inside for
evidence she
cover.
had. And even if she went to someone else, who would believe a logistics chief over the base commander? She checked her watch for 1835 hours. The hurricanes would reach the coast around 1930. If Triton was in trouble, they had less than 5 hours to survive. until even a theoretical rescue could be attempted. Her decision crystallized.
Stay with me,
Cold
Cole.
certainty. No official help would come for Triton, but official channels weren't the only option. As she walked back to her quarters, the first heavy rain bands lashed the base. The wind had intensified, strong enough now to bend small trees, nearly horizontal. Base personnel hurried to complete final preparations, most heading toward the designated hurricane shelters.
All right,
In the
team.
growing
We hold
chaos,
tight here until extraction
one
is
woman
possible.
moving with
Stay
purpose would
sharp.
hardly be noticed. In her quarters, Eleanor changed quickly. Dark tactical pants, a moisture-minus wicking compression shirt. From a locked footlocker, she retrieved a lightweight plate carrier, a ghost-minus gray battle dress uniform top, modified with additional waterproofing. Each item positioned for optimal weight
Trust your
distribution and
instincts.
movement. The buried key sat open on her bed. Beside it lay her old ghillie suit, modified for urban environments. Muted grays and blacks. Not the greens and browns of traditional woodland camouflage. She hadn't worn it since Afghanistan. Had sworn she never would again. Now she checked it methodically for any
Cole's here.
weaknesses or tears.
No matter
Her
what.
own buzzed. Read. Am on my way to your location. His text read, and don't do anything until I get there. Eleanor continued her preparations. From another case, she removed her Rajna visor. One meter, the most crucial item Croft's leather-minus bound notebook. She tucked it into a waterproof pouch, then into a secure pocket over her heart. Ammunition was next. She selected match minus grade, 50 minus caliber rounds, each one hand minus loaded to exacting specifications. For close minus quarters backup, she added her sidearm. He modified 6RP 226 and 3 magazines. Finally, she opened a small metal box that contained her most prized possession, Puff's dog tags. He had given them to her just before that final mission, told her to return them when they got back. He never had the chance. Now she slipped the chain over her head, tucking the tags beneath her shirt. A knock at the door. Pete's arrival. She let him in. He stopped short at the sight of her preparations. My God, Eleanor, he whispered, are you really doing this? I don't have a choice, she replied, continuing to pack essential supplies into a waterproof rucksack. There's always a choice. Breed countered. This is suicide, even if you reach them. What can
Clear.
one person do against an
Is everyone
unknown
all right?
number of hostiles in the middle of a
Just barely.
hurricane? Eleanor looked up. She met his gaze directly. One person in the right position can change everything. Roth taught me that. Reed watched her work for a moment, then sighed heavily. What's your plan? How are you even getting there? It's 12 miles to the docks, and the roads will be flooded within the hour. Base maintenance has been prepping the
Objective
drainage
secure.
canals for the
Unknown
storm.
sniper saved
Eleanor
us.
explained. They
Extraction
left
when
one of the
possible.
RH IBS rigid minus hull inflatable boats at the eastern outflow. I can take it down the canal system to within 2 miles of the objective, then proceed on foot. You've thought this through, Reed said, a hint of admiration in his voice. I ran the route twice last month, Eleanor admitted, after I heard Cole was assigned to Triton. Understanding dawned on Reed's face. They've been planning this for weeks. Not this specific mission, but something. You've been preparing to go back into the field. Eleanor didn't answer directly. The canal route is protected from the worst wind. I can make good time before the center of the storm hits. And when it does hit, what then?
All right, good work,
I
everyone.
find high ground, establish an overwatch position, assess the situation. If Triton is compromised, I provide precision fire support until they can extract. There's the barricade, securing the latches with practiced efficiency. Simple. Nothing about this is simple. Reed said, shaking his head. If you're caught leaving base during hurricane lockdown, your career is over. If you engage hostile forces without authorization, you could face court minus martial. If Triton dies because I did nothing, I couldn't live with myself. Eleanor replied quietly. Roth would never have abandoned them. Neither will I. Reed studied her face, seeing the determination etched into every line. Why, he recognized the look from his years in combat medicine, the resolute calm of someone who had accepted all possible consequences of their actions. I can buy you 4 hours, he finally said. He'll report that you're assisting in the sick bay, then had to secure critical supply inventories. After that,
Hold still,
they'll
it's almost
notice
done.
you're missing. Eleanor nodded.
Thunder?
4 hours is enough. By
that
then,
thunder?
well, you'll either have reached them or... Oh, she
We hold
didn't
until
finish the
extraction,
sentence.
No matter how long.
What do you need from me? Oh, Reed asked, resignation in his voice. Access to the east perimeter gate. The guard there will have been relocated to the shelters, but I need the security code to open it manually. Reed removed a
Croft.
small notebook from his pocket, wrote down a 6-digit code, handed it to her. Changed weekly. This one's good until Monday. He hesitated, then added, Croft saved my life in Bosra. Did he ever tell you that? Eleanor shook her head. I was a young army medic. Our convoy hit an IED. Croft provided overwatch for 8 hours while we treated casualties
We are
and
gonna
waited
get
for
you out of here.
extraction.
Just stay with me
Never
now.
missed a shot. Even as night fell, Reed's eyes grew distant with memory. He didn't know me, had no personal stake. He just wouldn't leave anyone behind. Eleanor felt something tighten in her chest. The familiar ache whenever Croft was mentioned. That was who he was. I see him in you, Reed said quietly. The same determination, the same quiet strength. He moved to the door, then turned back. Eleanor, if you get into trouble out there, I won't call for help. She assured him. No one else gets pulled into this. That's not what I was going to say. Reed replied. I was going to say, if you get into trouble, remember what Croft taught you. Trust your training. Trust your instincts. He opened the door and come back alive.
We'll
That's
make it
in
out.
order.
Hold
Chief.
strong.
After Reed left, Eleanor finished her preparations. She studied the satellite imagery one final time,
Never leave
committing
them
key to
behind.
rain features to memory. The old Portside Docks, sprawled across nearly a mile of coastline. 3 main warehouse structures, a central loading area, numerous smaller outbuildings. If she were planning the ambush, she would position shooters on the warehouse roofs. Heavy weapons at the northern and eastern approaches, blocking forces to the south and west. A perfect killing box. She checked her watch. 15 hours. The storm intensified. Still hours from its peak. Time to move. Eleanor shouldered her rucksack, secured the Barrett in its waterproof case. Took one final look around her quarters. Unhurt asks out a sealed envelope, addressed to her sister in Richmond, Virginia. A letter explaining everything, to be delivered if she
Could that have
didn't
been
return.
Spectre?
Beside it lay her service medals, including her combat commendations from Afghanistan. She touched the scar on her temple, a phantom pain throbbing beneath her fingers. Carbine. Hold. She whispered to the empty room. Hold on. Then
was some
Chief
serious
Petty
cover
Officer
fire.
Eleanor Vance, once known as Spectre, the ghost who never missed, stepped out into the
Whoever you
gathering
are,
storm.
thank you.
Rain pelted the base with growing intensity. Eleanor made her way toward the eastern perimeter. The maintenance roads were largely deserted, most personnel already in the hurricane shelters. She kept to the shadows, moving with the practiced stealth that had once been as natural to her as breathing. The eastern drainage canal stretched before her, swollen with rainwater, its concrete banks channeling the flow toward the ocean. The RHIB was secured to a maintenance dock, partially protected from the wind
We've got you.
by an overhanging
Just hold on
equipment
a little
shed.
longer.
Eleanor quickly loaded her gear, then untied the mooring lines. The small outboard motor coughed to life on the second pull.
Extraction
Eleanor
will
steered
come
into
at
the
the first
center of the
possible
canal.
break in the weather.
Current immediately caught the boat, accelerated it forward. Rain came down in sheets now, producing visibility to less than 50 yards. But she navigated confidently, having memorized the route. As the boat carried her away from the base, Eleanor's mind drifted to the moment. that had set her on this path. Not Afghanistan, but years earlier, when she first met Command Master Chief Petty Officer Arthur Croft. Initial training, some years ago, the shooting range of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Eleanor had qualified as expert on her first attempt, drawing little attention. She preferred it that way. Yeah, excellence without recognition. But on the final day,
kept my
the
vow.
drill instructor had set up a special challenge. Targets at extreme range and windy conditions. For those who had qualified
clear?
expert, fans, the DI had called. Hurry up. Eleanor stepped to the
Think so?
firing line. Aware of a grizzled older Marine watching from behind mirrored sunglasses. She ignored him, focusing on the target. Wind gusting from the left, distance approximately 656 yards at the edge of the ADS. Effective range. She made her calculations. Whoa. Silently adjusted her stance. Fired 5 rounds in rapid succession. Through the spotting scope, the DA confirmed all 5 had struck center mass. Again, the older Marine said, stepping forward. But this time, aimed for the head. The DI had looked surprised, but nodded. You heard Command Master Chief Croft.
Easy, just a
Headshot.
little poke.
Eleanor adjusted her aim, calculating the slightly
that
different
stings.
ballistic trajectory. 5 more
Just breathe.
shots. 5 hits. After the other recruits left, Croft had approached her. You weren't breathing properly, he said without preamble. And your stance was 8 degrees off optimal for the wind conditions. Eleanor had stiffened. I hit all the targets. Yes, Croft agreed. Despite your mistakes, imagine what you could do if you eliminated them. He had handed her a card with a phone number. When you finish training, call me. I'm looking for someone who can do the impossible. The memory faded. The canal curved sharply eastward. The current grew stronger. Ahead, Eleanor saw the ocean. Gray waves crashing against the breakwater that protected the canal outlet. She cut the engine,
Arms stable. Can you
letting
move it?
momentum
Just a
carry the
little.
RH heavy to a small maintenance platform. Near where the canal emptied into the sea, she quickly secured the boat, unloaded her gear. From here, she would have to proceed on foot. The hurricane's outer
Spectre,
bands now fully
could it be
engulfed the
you?
coast. Wind speeds approached 60 mph. Train fell in blinding sheets. Occasional debris flew through the air. Branches, trash, anything not tied down. Eleanor donned her ghillie suit, specialized fabric designed to break up her human outline. While shedding water, the barrett case secured across her back. Its weight familiar,
What's our casualty
oddly
status?
comforting. She
Not good,
oriented herself using the compass built into her tactical watch, then began moving north along the coastline. The terrain was challenging. A mixture of sand dunes, marshy lowlands, and occasional stands of wind-spent pines. The hurricane pushed seawater inland, flooding low areas, forcing Eleanor to adjust her route repeatedly. The wind howled around her, sometimes strong enough to stagger her, despite her athletic frame. After 30 minutes of grueling progress, Eleanor reached a ridge line that offered her first view of the shipyard. Through her binoculars, she studied the complex, now partially obscured by sheets of rain. The 3 main warehouse buildings loomed like dark sentinels against the gray sky. Between them,
We
a
hold
central
until dawn
loading
if we
area
must.
provided open ground. A potential kill zone if the SEAL team entered unaware of the ambush. Movement caught her eye, armed men taking positions on the warehouse roofs despite the dangerous wind conditions. She counted at least 12.
You're
More
doing great.
inside the structures,
Just hold on a little
based on
longer for
shadows
me, okay?
moving past windows. Their weaponry was not the typical AK-47 seconds of common insurgents. It included what appeared to be heavy machine guns and rocket-propelled grenade launchers. This was no ordinary hostile cell. This was a well-equipped, disciplined force. Eleanor worked her way closer, using natural depressions in the terrain for cover when she reached the final ridge overlooking the shipyard. Approximately 875 yards from the central warehouse,
This storm
she
is
found
lasting
what she was
longer than
looking
the
for: an
forecast said
abandoned
it
water
would.
tower. It would provide both elevation and concealment. Climbing in the hurricane conditions was treacherous. Twice, powerful gusts nearly tore her from the rusted ladder, but Eleanor persevered, reaching the maintenance platform that circled the tank. A small equipment shed provided partial shelter from the wind, an excellent vantage point over the entire shipyard complex. Eleanor
Storm
set
will
up her
pass.
position,
Just hold
with
on.
the methodical precision crafted drilled into her. First, a shooting mat, secured to prevent movement. Then the barret, assembled with practiced efficiency despite the howling wind and pelting rain.
Someone kept us alive.
Yeah. She established her firing data book, a waterproof notepad,
We have to find her.
where she recorded wind speed, direction, temperature, thermometric pressure, and humidity through her scope. She conducted a detailed survey of the area. The enemy forces were more numerous than she had initially
We need to
estimated.
move now.
At least 20
Copy
minus
that.
5
Be ready.
combatants, strategically positioned throughout the complex. They had established interlocking fields of fire. They would catch anyone
We surveyed
entering
the
the
storm's
central
worst.
area in devastating crossfire.
We'll get out.
Then, she saw the Navy SEAL Team Triton moving cautiously along the
Spectre,
southern
if it
approach
was you,
to the
thank you.
shipyard. Despite the weather, they maintained perfect tactical formation, and aware they were minutes away from walking into a carefully prepared trap. Eleanor recognized Lieutenant Commander Davies leading the column, followed by 8 other operators, including Petty Officer First Class Cole, whose distinctive movement pattern she would know anywhere. They were outnumbered nearly 3 to 1. The enemy held superior positions and heavy weaponry. She brought her eye to the scope, focusing on the nearest enemy sniper, positioned on the eastern warehouse roof. The
Croft.
wind howled around her, gusting unpredictably as the hurricane intensified. Rain pelted to bear its spiral, each drop a potential deviation factor for the bullet's path. Eleanor opened Croft's notebook, turning to a dog-seared page,
Okay,
where he had
stable now.
recorded his observations about shooting in extreme weather. In hurricane conditions,
If it was you,
he had
Spectre,
written, wind patterns
your
become
promise.
chaotic but not random. Look for the rhythm within the chaos. Time your shot between the gusts. She studied the wind indicators, flags, rain patterns, debris movement. The hurricane created swirling vortices around the buildings, making conventional wind calculation impossible. But Eleanor saw what others could not: the subtle patterns within the storm's fury. Her finger rested lightly beside the trigger guard. She waited for the perfect moment. In her mind, she heard Croft's
on.
voice, patient.
Extraction is on the way.
A shot will come to you. You don't force it. You let it happen. And our PT team emerged from the northern warehouse, moving into position to target the approaching SEALs. Eleanor tracked them, calculating
We
range,
survived.
wind, and bullet
Thanks to
drop.
someone out
The
there.
leader carried the launcher. His partner shouldered additional rockets. The decision crystallized in her mind. Hold clarity. If she took the shot, there would be no going back. Her career, her quiet anonymity, potentially her freedom, all would be forfeit. But if she did nothing, good men would die. Eleanor remembered her promise to Croft as he lay dying in her arms of people. No matter what, she exhaled slowly, found a space between their heartbeats, squeezed the trigger. The barret roared, its massive report swallowed by the hurricane's fury. Through her scope, Eleanor watched the RPG gunner collapse, the 50- caliber round finding its mark. Despite the impossible conditions, before his partner could react, she
Moving
chambered
to
another
extraction
round.
point.
Fired again. Second target downed. The shipyard erupted into confusion. Armed men scrambled for cover, unable to determine where the shots had come from.
Clear.
The SEAL team, alerted by the gunfire, took defensive positions behind shipping containers at the yard's perimeter. Eleanor shifted her aim to the sniper on the eastern warehouse roof. The most immediate threat to the SEAL's position. Distance approximately 900 yards.
This is Triton 1, do you copy?
Crosswind gusting between 45 and 65 miles per hour. Driving rain.
Hello,
Reducing
they're coming!
visibility. Affecting ballistics. An impossible shot by any conventional standard. Made the calculation. Adjusting for all variables. Then waited. For the momentary lull between wind gusts. The barrel thundered again. The sniper dropped. The SEAL team began to respond. Disciplined fire. Though they still cowed
for
and
lift.
identified their mysterious
Move fast when they
savior.
arrive.
Eleanor heard Davy's voice crackle over the radio. She had tuned it to their frequency. Unknown shooter.
Spectre.
Unknown shooter.
Whoever
This
you
is
are,
Navy
you saved
SEAL
us.
Team Triton. Identify yourself. Eleanor remained silent. Already acquiring her next target, a machine gunner setting up on the Western warehouse roof. She fired twice in rapid succession, eliminating both the gunner and his assistant. Storm intensified around her. The water tower's metal structure groaned under the assault
Wounded,
of
move
Hurricane
first.
Minus force
On my
winds.
mark.
Rain drove horizontally, stinging her exposed skin like tiny needles. But Eleanor
Spectre.
remained focused. Her world
I know
narrowed.
you are out there.
To the view through her scope, the calculations in her mind. She worked methodically. Through priority targets anyone with crew minus served weapons. Anyone targeting the SEAL team's position. Anyone attempting to coordinate the remaining hostile forces. Each shot required completely new calculations. As the chaotic wind
Final
pattern
perimeter
shifted
check
constantly
before boarding.
through her scope, he caught glimpses of the SEAL team responding to the sudden advantage. Davies directed a controlled advance, using the cover fire she provided to move from the shipping containers toward the southern warehouse. Paul lead the front element, his movements precise and confident. Despite the hurricane conditions, Eleanor allowed herself a moment of pride before refocusing on her mission. This wasn't about recognition or redemption. It was about keeping a promise. The radio
Get 'em
crackled
aboard.
again.
Move.
Whoever you are, Davy's voice came through. We owe you, but we still have hostiles in the main warehouse. Any support appreciated. Eleanor shifted her position slightly, seeking a better angle on the main warehouse entrance. As she did, a sudden, powerful gust rocked the water tower. Metal screamed. Decades minus sold bolts. Weakened by coastal corrosion. Now tested by Hurricane Minus force winds, began to fail. The platform beneath her tilted alarmingly. Eleanor grabbed her rifle and pack. Securing them quickly as the structure swayed. She needed to evacuate immediately. The ladder she had used to ascend was now dangling uselessly, torn from its moorings by the wind. Below, the battle continued. The SEAL team had secured the southern warehouse. It took fire from the main building. Eleanor estimated they still faced at least 12 hostiles, including several in fortified positions. She had seconds to make a decision. The water tower was failing. Would likely collapse completely within minutes. But
Just a moment.
her mission was complete. The SEAL team still needed support. To overcome the remaining opposition, Eleanor quickly assessed her options. The equipment shed provided minimal protection. The water tank itself was more stable than the surrounding platform. If she could reach the far side of the
Someone
tank,
out there
a series
saved
of
us.
maintenance rungs might allow her to descend to a
We'll never
lower
forget.
level. It appeared more secure. She began moving carefully along the tilting platform, one hand securing her rifle, the other maintaining contact with the tank for stability. Halfway around, a section of decking tore away, opening a dark gap in her path, leaving a 4- foot space between her and the continuation of the platform. The wind howled, driving rain, reducing visibility to mere feet. Another section of the structure failed. The sound of tearing metal added to the storm's cacophony. There was no time for hesitation. Eleanor backed up several steps, then sprinted forward, leapt across the gap, landing heavily on the far section of platform. The impact sent pain shooting through her old injury, a reminder of
Promise
her
kept, Croft.
vulnerability. She continued around the tank, finally reaching the maintenance rungs. They were slick with rain, but appeared structurally sound. Eleanor secured the barrel across her back, began descending, fighting against wind gusts that threatened to tear her from her precarious position. 30 feet below, she found what she had hoped for: a more substantial maintenance platform with better structural integrity. It offered a different angle on the shipyard, allowing her to observe the main warehouse's western approach, where several enemy combatants attempted to flank the SEAL team's position. Eleanor quickly established her firing position. Using a different technique suited to the more confined space, the Barretts depot woodland work here, so she improvised, using her pack to create a stable shooting platform. Through her skill, she located 3 enemy fighters. Moving toward the SEAL's blind
Mission
spot,
objective complete.
distance
Target
approximately
neutralized.
837 yards.
Good work,
Wind now
Alistair.
consistently from the northeast at approximately 70 mph. Eleanor made her adjustments, then fired 3 rapid shots. All 3 targets eliminated. The water tower groaned again, the entire structure now visibly swaying. Eleanor knew she
Unknown
was on
sniper
borrowed
support
time.
during mission.
She needed to finish this quickly, find a more secure position
It was her.
before the structure failed completely. The SEAL team had
Spectre.
reached the main warehouse entrance.
I know
It
it.
was pinned down by fire from the interior. Through her scope,
We broke that
Eleanor
ambush
could see Cole
with
attempting to
impossible
position
precision
himself for a
shots.
clear shot at the lead gunner, but lacking the necessary angle. She calculated the shot through the warehouse window into the shadowed interior, accounting for the glass deflection. Range approximately 855 yards. The target was only partially visible, moving erratically behind cover. Under normal conditions, it would be a challenging shot for even the most skilled sniper. In hurricane conditions, it bordered on impossible. Eleanor heard Croft's voice in her
Spectre
memory.
is
The
just a
difference
rumor,
between a
son.
good sniper and a great one isn't about who can make the easy shots. It's about who can make the impossible ones when lives depend on it. She exhaled slowly, and her finger took up the trigger slack. Between gusts, between heartbeats, she squeezed. The Barrett roared one final time. Through her scope, Eleanor watched the enemy gunner collapse. Immediately, the SEAL team surged forward, Cole leading the charge into the warehouse. The water tower gave a final tortured groan. Metal tore free as Hurricane Minus First Winds finally
We were
overcame
saved
the
by a
weakened
ghost in the
structure.
storm.
Eleanor grabbed her rifle and packed, abandoned her position as the platform began to collapse beneath her. She scrambled toward the tank itself, finding handholds on access panels and maintenance fittings. The entire tower came apart
She
around
kept the
her.
promise.
Decades of coastal corrosion giving way to the storm's fury. Eleanor climbed, fought, descended when necessary, using every skill Croft had taught her about moving through chaotic environments. When the tower finally collapsed completely, Eleanor was already on the ground, crawling clear of the falling debris. The noise was swallowed by the hurricane and the ongoing gunfire from the warehouse. She lay for a moment in the mud. Rain pelted her face, body aching from the impact and the strain. But no time to recover. The battle was over. She needed to find a new position. Eleanor forced herself to her feet, checked
We
her rifle
survived
for
because
damage,
someone covered
began
us.
moving through the storm toward the shipyard's
Record
eastern
it.
perimeter. The hurricane had reached nearly full strength now, the eye wall approaching the coast. Debris flew through the air, pieces of metal roofing, branches, unit and fightable objects torn free by the wind's incredible force. She fought her way to an abandoned guard shack. It offered some protection from the wind, a clear view of the main warehouse. Through the rain-minus street window, she saw flashes of gunfire inside. The SEAL team had penetrated the building, but was still engaged with the remaining hostiles. Eleanor set up her final position, using the guard desk to stabilize her rifle. Her ammunition was running low. Just 5 rounds remaining in the current magazine. One spare. She would have to make each shot count. Through her scope, she observed the battle unfolding inside the warehouse. Davies directed his team with hand signals, methodically clearing the space. The call moved with lethal efficiency, covering the team's advance. Then she saw it movement. On the warehouse's upper level, a final enemy fighter, previously undetected, positioning a heavy machine gun to rain fire down on the SEALs below. None of the team had spotted him yet. Distance approximately 813 yards. The shot would have to pass through them.